Hey friends, my name is Chloe. Welcome back to my channel. I realise I've been absent for a lot of this month, even though I said I was videos going up every day. My mental health has just been so haywire at this point that it's ridiculous, and also I wanted to leave a lot of time in the month to amplify the black voices in our community. Having said that, there is a bunch of resources, petitions, places to donate, all that stuff in the description so that you can help the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's far from over and we need to be doing more. So this is the mid-year book Freakout tag. I will have the original video in the description. So let's just get started. The first question is your favourite book of 2020, and I've read a lot of books so far this year. I think I've read like 82, so there's a lot to choose from. So I decided to go with a book that's a backlist title and then a book from 2020 as a release. So my backlist title is A Little Life by Hannah Yanagihara, and all my friends are like, what are you doing? This book broke you, and let me tell you, it really did. This book is about 4 friends called Malcolm, Jude, JB and Willem from their college years until the end, and this book will break you like it broke me. It has so many trigger warnings on it, so make sure you go and look them up before you read this book, because it's a lot and it's heavy and it made me cry multiple times, and I just still can't comprehend the things that happened in this book. And honestly, I really struggled rating this book, because if I was rating it on my enjoyment of the experience of reading it, it would be a 1 star, because I did not have fun. But to rate it on the quality of the book and the writing and the characters, I have to give it 5 stars, because no book has ever evoked this much emotion out of me before, and it was just fantastic. It is absolutely heart-wrenching, and it's the hardest book I've ever read, but it was incredible, and that's why it truly deserves this spot, because no book has ever made me feel like this book has. I'll insert a picture of me crying. I hope editing me does that, because that's embarrassing. Anyway, A Little Life. It's coming up later again, so I bet you can't guess what that question is. And my 2020 release is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Honestly, it was a toss-up between this and You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, but another book we'll be getting onto later. Chain of Gold is the first book in a new Shadowhunter trilogy that is the sequel trilogy to The Infernal Devices, and this book was so incredible. The Infernal Devices is my second favourite series of all time, and I was so stressed going into this book that I would hate it. Stressed so much so that I put this off for a whole month because I was worried about it. But this book was incredible. I love these characters so much. This story was interesting and new to anything we've had in the Shadowhunter world before, and I loved that so much. And James, Matthew, Thomas, Christopher, Cordelia, Lucy, all characters that I would lay down my life for, because I loved them so much, and I loved seeing Will and Tessa and Sophie and Cecily and Gideon and Gabriel again. And this book was heartbreaking and funny and beautiful, and I just loved every single page. And I can't wait for Chain of Iron. Please, someone give me Chain of Iron. I need it now, please. The next prompt is your favourite sequel of 2020. Again, I have 2 because I'm an overachiever. Both of these are backlist titles. I haven't actually read many sequels that have come out in 2020, so yeah. Anyway, my first book is Hour of Fire by Sarah J Maas. I'm reading Throne of Glass for the first time. I have vlogs documenting the experience that I'll link down below, and I'm gonna read Queen of Shadows soon, so expect that vlog soon. Anyway, Heir of Fire is the third book in the Throne of Glass series, and this book was amazing. This book is where the stakes start to become really high in the series, and we get introduced to so many new characters that I loved. Rowan would die for. Can't lie, I loved him so much. The writing in this book is truly a step up from the writing in Crown of Midnight, and I loved Crown of Midnight so much, but the writing in this is more sophisticated and detailed, and the world building is just incredible, and I love this series so much. I just cannot wait to carry on with it soon. And the second book I want to talk about is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. I think the This Savage Song, this duology was like the second series I read in 2020 after All for the Game, which was a reread, which is why it's not on this list. But yeah, Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab. This book broke me in so many different ways. This Savage Song duology was one of the only Victoria Schwab series that I haven't read yet, since she is absolutely one of my favourite authors, and it was just everything. The plot was so intricate and so thought out. The characters were so good. I loved August and Kate so much, and they deserve so much better than they get in this series. And I said what I said. The plot is so intricate and the storytelling is so wonderful. I love the world building and the creation that's gone into these monsters that are the things plaguing the earth. I love this series so much, and I'm so happy that I finally read it. The next prompt is a book that's come out in 2020 that you haven't read yet, and for that I'm going with A Heart Surfaced and Broken by Bridget Camara. I loved A Curse So Dark and Lonely so much, and I picked this book up as soon as it was, sorry, it's reflecting because the spine is so shiny, and I still haven't read it yet. I tried to read it when I went to Florida in February, and I just can't read on the plane, and I was in a reading clump and all this messy stuff, so I still haven't read it yet. If I haven't read this by the end of the year, I hope Danny punches me in the face, because I really need to get to it. I really want to reread A Curse So Dark and Lonely first, because that book has my entire heart, and I've heard this is stressful, and that's also what puts me off, is the stress, because book 3 isn't out until January, and I need it right now. So yeah, I'm so excited to dive into this, and I'm so disappointed in myself that I haven't, because again, Bridget is one of my favourite authors, and this is one of the only books of hers I haven't read yet. So someone keep telling me to read this. Tweet me every day and tell me to read this freaking book. The next prompt is most anticipated releases for the second half of 2020. My most anticipated release by far is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This book just sounds incredible. I've wanted it in my hands since it got announced last year, and it was meant to be out June 1st, and it got put back to September 1st. Fuck coronavirus. And I just need it in my life right now. It sounds so magical and so gay and so wonderful, and it has a trans main character, its own voices for trans main characters, and Aidan is truly the sweetest human being I've ever interacted with online. He's so passionate about this book, and he's so thankful for all the support that he's getting, and it just makes my heart so happy. And I've been trying to sell my soul for an arc of it for so long, and I've just got nowhere, so I'm really sad. But you know, as soon as it hits midnight on September 1st, I'm downloading it on my Kindle so I can read it, and will not sleep until I've read it. And then later on that day, when the hardback comes, I'm gonna read it again, because that's how excited I am and that's how convinced I am that this book's gonna be my favourite of the year, so we'll see. My other most anticipated release for 2020 is Queen of Vaults by Amanda Foodie, which is the third and final installment in the Shadow Game series, which is about this girl named N whose mother goes missing, and she has to go to this city of sin because her only lead is a crime lord named Levi. And Ace of Shades is one of my favourite books that's ever been written, and King of Fools, also one of my favourite books that's ever been written, but the ending of King of Fools was probably the most intense ending of a book I've ever read, and I need to read Queen of Vaults now. Luckily, your girl has an arc of it, and I'm so excited to reread Ace of Shades and King of Fools at the start of July, and then read Queen of Vaults because my brain needs it. I just love this series with my entire heart, and it's so different to any other fantasy that I've ever read because the magic system is so unique and brilliant, and the writing is incredible. The political arc is amazing. The characters are just people that I love with my entire heart, and I just need to know that they're all okay at the end, and that this fucking couple sorts their shit out and gets together at some point because they deserve it. I deserve it. I fucking deserve this. Levi is a bisexual king and I stan him. N is a queen and I love her, and I cannot wait to read Queen of Vaults, but I'm also really scared to read Queen of Vaults, but I'll let you know. Next prompt is a book that disappointed you, and for that I am going with Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. This was like in my top 3 anticipated releases for 2020, and unfortunately I gave it 1 star. I did not like this book. The thing I love about Adam's books is not only the emotional impact of them, but his writing is amazing, and the writing in this just wasn't good. I did not like it at all. It didn't feel as emotional as Adam's books normally do, and it makes me really sad because seeing Adam's Twitter and how excited he was for this book makes me really sad that I didn't like it. And the phoenixes were so cool, and yeah, I really wanted to love this and I just didn't, and it just breaks my heart, and I'm sorry, Adam. Am I still gonna read Infinity Reaper? There's a good chance. Am I gonna give this a second chance? There's a good chance. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. I'll be looking forward to that in a wrap up near the end of the year. The next prompt is your biggest surprise of the year. I have 3 for this. Again, the first one is Wolf Brother by Michelle Paver. I read this for the first round of reading my best friend's favourite book challenge. Also, the second round of that is coming soon. I'm currently on my 2nd book of it and vlogging the experience. Anyway, this was a pick for my friend Jess. She bought this book for me last year and has been telling me to read it, and honestly was nervous going in because I didn't think I would like it. It turns out I fucking loved it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. The found family aspects of this book just made my life a better place, honestly. The story is so fucking good, and I really need to get to book 2, which I just brought today, so it'll be soon. And if you haven't read Wolf Brother, I highly recommend, especially if you love Brother Bear, the Disney movie, because it has the biggest Brother Bear vibes, and if you love fan family, it has everything. They're really short. It's like 200 pages. Also, you can see all my highlights in here. I highlighted this book because I just loved it so much, and I want to reread it, to be honest. Maybe I'll reread this before I read Spirit Walker, and then reread this and Spirit Walker before I read book 3, which I think is Earthbreaker. Anyway, biggest surprise, loved it. My second biggest surprise was Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I've explained this story. Read it 2017, thought it was fine, never carried on. Read it again in 2018, hated it, carried on. Reading it now for the first time. I loved this book so much, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, have reading vlogs linked down below. This book was so fucking good. I can't believe that I've spent so much of my time hating it. Selena would die for her. Kale would die for him. Dorian would die for him. I love the dynamics of these characters. I love this world. I love the world building. I actually love the stress of this series and knowing that I can binge read it because all the books are out. How did you, if you are an OG Throne of Glass fan, how did you cope between each book? Because I don't think I could ever do that. And yeah, I loved this so much, and I'm so surprised because I just thought I hated it. I didn't. And my final biggest surprise, I don't have a physical copy of it because I gave it away ages ago. I listened to it on audiobook. It was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read this last year and gave it 1 star. I read it again this year, gave it 4.75 stars. The biggest problem I have with this book is the romance. I think Carden is such an abusive piece of shit that it really hurts me that people romanticize this relationship so much, and I gave it 1 star last year because that's all I focused on. I didn't focus on the good parts of the book. I just focused on the fact that it pissed me off that everyone romanticized an abusive relationship, but then people do read after and romanticize that, but that's a story for another time. I do want to say that no one deserves to be in the position that Carden is in with his abusive family members, but still, he's a massive dick and I hate him. Can't lie, things have turned around a little bit on my view of him, but I still think he's emotionally abusive and has never apologized for what he's done to Jude. But I loved this book. The world building, amazing. The other characters, amazing. I'm so mad at myself that I didn't let myself focus on those parts the first time round, and I'm just loving it. I'm literally reading The Wicked King on audiobook right now, and it's even better than The Cruel Prince. I'm just so happy that I love this series. It's basically 2020 is the year of me reading popular series and loving them, and I'm not even mad about it. So yeah, I read The Cruel Prince and I loved it. Biggest plot twist of 2020, honestly. The next prompt is your favourite new to you author, whether it's a debut author or just an author that you've read. For the first time this year, I'm going with Margaret Owen, who wrote The Merciful Crow. I read this book twice in a row this month because I finished it and then I took a day's break and just couldn't stop thinking about it, so I read it again because this book just has my entire heart. These characters, I love them. If you can tell, I'm a very character driven person. This was such an incredible debut novel. It came out last year and the sequel has been pushed back to August. Ask me if I'm okay with it. I'm not. But yeah, the world is so unlike anything I've ever read before, and the world building was like nothing I've ever read before. The kind of class system was kind of similar to the Six of Crows Grisha world, but also completely different at the same time, and I just loved this book so much. I think it had so much important social commentary about how rich people treat poor people, and it was wonderful and I loved it, and I can't wait to read the sequel. I need it in my hands ASAP. Please read The Merciful Crow, you will not regret it. Prompt is your newest fictional crush. Mine is Keisha from Ash by Melinda Loyal. I literally just finished this book a couple of days ago, and Keisha completely stole my heart. Ash is a retelling of Cinderella, and it has the king's hunter, who's Keisha, in it, and she was just so wonderful. All she wanted was for Ash to be happy and to be loved and to love her, and she went out of her way so much to make sure this girl was okay, and I just loved her so much. She truly deserves everything good in this world, and I read so many reviews that said they didn't like Keisha, and I was like, I don't understand. I want to marry her so much. I would also love to be a hunter, like, of Artemis. That's basically what they are. I want to be a hunter of Artemis. I'd be fine with that. I'd run away with Keisha for the rest of my life. I would be fine with that. If you haven't read Ash yet, what are you doing? It's like one of the staples of lesbian fiction in the modern age, and I'm so mad at myself that it's taken me like 10 years to read the fucking book. Ash was just incredible. Another book that I really just kind of want to re-rent from my library and read it all over again, because this book just hit me so hard. I really wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. Some of it was a little boring, but when it really got into it, it touched me in so many different ways. And I haven't talked about this yet because my wrap up isn't coming out until July 1st or 2nd, because it's gonna be a long one. And I just loved Geisha so much, and I want to marry her now, please. The next prompt is your new favourite character, and mine is Matthew Fairchild from Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Didn't I tell you it was coming back? Matthew is one of the most selfless characters I've ever read about. He's carrying a horrific secret with him, and it breaks my heart how much he's suffering in this book. It breaks my heart how much he would truly do for James Herondale, and they are the perfect parabatai. And I just truly love Matthew Fairchild so much. He's the character that I felt the most emotion towards. My heart broke for him, and I laughed with him, and I loved him. And I cannot wait for Chain of Iron, purely to see more of Matthew Fairchild. I'm pretty sure most people who have read this book will agree with me that he's a precious child that needs protecting. And I love him, and I can't wait to see more of him. And yeah, Matthew fucking Fairchild. What a heartbreak. Honestly, I just really want him to have the happiness that he deserves, and as much as I don't want his secret to come out because it's so heartbreaking, I also do, just so some weight can be lifted from this poor child's shoulders. He's 17 years old and he's harboring something so big, and I love him so much. Can you tell? I just want him to be happy. Please give Matthew Fairchild happiness 2020. The next prompt is a book that made you cry. I feel like you all know what's coming. It's A Little Life by Hannah Yanagihara. Like I said, have never ever cried so much at a book. I sobbed so much. I made myself sick because I cried so much at this book. The ending of this book just tore me to pieces. I mean, I cried through quite a lot of it, but the part 6 and part 7, it took me 3 hours to get past these 100 pages that would normally take me an hour, because I had to keep stopping because I was crying so much I couldn't read. So yeah, A Little Life. Leave me alone, please. Next prompt is the opposite of that, a book that made you happy. I am going with You Should See Me on a Crown by Leah Johnson. This book made me a better person. This book truly filled me with so much joy that I can't actually explain it. Liz and Mac, two of my favourite characters of 2020, their chemistry and dynamic was absolutely incredible. All the witty banter and humour in this book was amazing. The Avatar The Last Airbender references, chef's kiss. Also, as well as this book being so beautifully funny and heartwarming, it also had so much important social commentary around being gay and being black and the hardships that come with that, as well as living in a conservative community, along with high school and prom and all the stressful things that happen in high school, along with talking about college and how much college is and how ridiculous that is, and as well as calling schools out on the absolute bullshit of their non-bullying policies, because the things that Liz has to deal with, that her principal is willing to literally do fuck all about, is disgusting. And this book was amazing. I listened to it on audiobook, and I just, as soon as I had it on, didn't want to stop listening because it made me so happy. I smiled properly shit-faced grin through 90% of this book because it was just so wonderful. And fucking Amanda, my heart, she was the lesbian emo that I've always wanted to read about. She's the lesbian emo I was in high school. Like, oh my god, I just love this book so much. Another book I just really want to reread really soon. I want to get a physical copy of it so I can display it on my bookshelves and read it again, because this book could take over Red, White and Royal Blue as my happiest book of all time. Please read You Should See Me in a Crown. It's absolutely incredible. The next prompt is for the most beautiful book you've either bought or received this year. And I am going with House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I haven't read this yet, but look how stunning this cover is. Plus, spade edges. Plus, look at the red. Plus, end papers. This book is just, I'm seeing if there's other end papers. I mean, it's just look at it. It's so stunning, and I cannot wait to read this. I've heard mixed things. Danny hated it, but other people love it, and I'm really excited to read it, especially because I've been in such a Sarah J Maas mood this year with Throne of Glass, and I reread A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is another book I used to hate and now love. So it's a very Sarah J Maas year for me, and I'm so excited to dive in to this book. It's her first proper adult novel, and I'm just really excited. It is a chunky boy. It is 800 pages, so it could take me a while, but I'm still excited. Crescent City. It's beautiful. I can't really bother to put this back on, so I'm gonna do that after the video is finished. The last prompt is books you want to read before the end of 2020, and I have such a large list for this. I've chosen a few. Also, I want to finish A Throne of Glass. This is Queen of Shadows. Up there on top of my shelf somewhere I have all the other books, and I want to finish this series this year because I love it so deeply. This is so big, and the rest of them are so big, and I'm scared because stress, but I'm excited, and I cannot wait to vlog the experience for you all. They are hopefully coming soon. I'm hoping to read this in July, but also I have some secret TBR plans and some other plans, and I don't know if I'll definitely get to it in July. If I don't, I'll be carrying on in August and September. I'm finishing the series, and I'm nervous but excited. And my last book I'm gonna mention is Power of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. If I haven't read this book by the end of this year, I'm gonna disown myself. My friend Jess recently read this, absolutely adored it. I'm scared because it's big. It's big. It's 830 pages. Not as big as it looks, to be fair. I thought it was over 1,000. Queen of Shatner. Queen of Air and Darkness is longer than this, and I've read that, so why am I so scared to read this book? I don't know. It's an adult high fantasy. That scares me. This is the same length, and I'm really willing to go into this, and I don't understand why I'm so scared of this book. It's so heavy, and I'm just so weak when it comes to holding books up, so I'll be like, it's too heavy. But I'm excited to read this. It has dragons, it has LGBTQ plus characters, it's fantasy. I'm excited. If I haven't read this by December, I hope all of you unsubscribe, because it's what I deserve. I need to read this book, and I need to read it now. I'm excited, and I don't know why I've been putting it off. That's the end of the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm so happy that I've finally done this tag because I've wanted to do it for years, and I'm finally doing it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and maybe hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check the links in the description for ways you can help with the Black Lives Matter movement, and for Throne of Glass vlogs and reading my best friend's favourite books vlogs. I will see you with a new video. or 2 next week. Look after yourselves. Look after everyone around you. Good.